Phil.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey everybody, how are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? It is your boy. I had to do the slow motion. It is your boy coming to you all the way from Oklahoma City in Zagnif Central. Mr. Fingaz, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend in his own mind, the worst celebrity impersonator you will ever meet that you actually still understand who the impersonation is supposed to be of. And that fella right over there, that fella. That guy right there, this guy, that guy right there, that guy is the brother from another, the sexy mother Hubbard, the ace of base, in the place, in your face. I am very happy to be here. I have just been placed in charge of garbage. Do you have any that requires disposal that I don't have to break my arm trying to pull out from under the table? Thank you so much. That is the man, Collin P. from the TV in the SEC.
It's getting longer and longer.
Oh my God, man, it's getting crazy. So what's up with you, man?
Oh, not much, man. Just doing the thing, man. Still working a bit. I had to work both weekend days this weekend, but yeah, recovering from almost a cardiac, a coronary with the Dawgs. Give us a scare against Missouri, but I'm recovering from it. So, how about yourself?
Oh man, I'm not doing too terribly bad, but I think after this weekend, there's at least one video from my drop collection that we can get rid of.
Ain't nobody worried about no Georgia.
Yeah, we might have to get rid of it. Yeah, we might have to put that one away for a little bit. But yeah, not a bad weekend. Watched a little football, ate a little food, trying to watch that diet, trying to keep the caloric intake down, keep the starches down. But I mean, I still get them late night cravings for a Coca-Cola and a box of Mike and Ike's. And my favorite store is out of Mike and Ike's right now. That should be a crime against all mankind. But we ain't gonna say nothing. But not like talking about though. That's that DC thing, but not like talking about.
That's right.
So yeah. So hey man, we might as well go ahead and show. By the way, Mr. Sean Spencer, the godfather of Let's Talk Football, for the longest time has been saying, "Hey guys, what you guys just go ahead and do a flat out UGA show. Just do a UGA show. You guys know UGA. It's not like you don't know the SEC, but you definitely know UGA." So Sean, ta-da! Welcome to this week in UGA football. We have renamed it. I don't know if you caught all the little stuff in the beginning, but we are rebranded. Same show, new name, same location, same great prices. Anyway,
I do like the new intro though. Very good, very impressed, very impressed.
Yeah. God in heaven help us, man. What the hell happened to the boys on Saturday?
I wish I knew. I mean, I don't know. We had talked a little bit off of camera, and you had mentioned that. Actually, we like you said, we did talk about being worried that they would look past certain opponents and what have you. But yeah, I think that
but that's exactly what they did, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think that's the case. Because I mean, struggle with Kent State and then come into Missouri, which was a hostile environment. It was crazy in that. I mean, in that stadium. But yeah, it just looked like
that stadium was rocking. Like we were playing in Bryant-Denny, bro.
No doubt.
Or Jordan Hare.
Yeah,
and those are two of the hardest stadiums to play in. Oh, and Neyland Stadium. Those are probably the three hardest stadiums in the conference to play in. That and Sanford. But I mean, that's our home stadium. But if anytime we travel, Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, three hardest stadiums to play in, hands down. And we
For
were
sure.
in Missouri, and they were cheering. I mean, they were ready. I think they were ready to rush the field. They honestly were.
Yeah. I mean, and they, if we didn't talk, I said that's what the crazy with me is like, we've always been like a first half type of team, and what how we won that ball game was in the fourth quarter.
Not this week.
We came back. You know what I mean?
Not this week. Not this week. Not this past week.
No. I agree, but I'm just saying that I was surprised that we came back. We just kept them within striking distance, which is good, right? I mean, we were just close enough where we could, kept within one score, maybe scoring a field goal. Regardless, we shouldn't have been, the game. But if you look at the stats, I mean, it's not very indicative of what happened. I mean, like, Stetson he had a fumble, but didn't have any interception, had a touchdown. Mitchell, like I said, Milton had a fumble. And and Brady Cook didn't have stellar numbers. It was 192 passing and one touchdown,
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was just like Stetson couldn't hit his behind with both hands. Like it was overthrowing people,
It was all over the place, and we're going to break all of that down for you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We do have a question from Nate in the comments. He hasn't put it out there yet. He did say he has a question for us. I'm actually simultaneously watching the YouTube, so I don't have to go through the chat and pull the chats up. But Nate is watching. Big ups to Nathan Snell, host of the Big Nate Sports Podcast. He is on anytime, all the time. That's not quite the tagline, but we gonna work on it. No, we actually came up with a tagline. I gotta redo his voiceover. I just threw that out there in the conversation last night, so we changed his tagline. So when Nate gives us the question, we'll throw that up there. But let's break this thing down, man. Let's number one. Let's go ahead and start with Stetson Bennett. You see the stat line. You know how we did. Any quarterback that throws for almost 50% or less is not going to have a winning day. Generally does not have a winning day. That's generally a quarterback that's slinging it around in a losing effort. I mean, he still got over 300 yards, but he had no touchdowns. Thank God he had no interceptions. But this is the same guy 3 weeks ago. We were saying 4 weeks ago, we were saying he looks calm, he looks cool, he looks composed, he's matured. He's making smart decisions with the ball. He's throwing it away when he needs to throw it away. He's checking down when he needs to check down. He's going deep when he needs to go deep. And seemed like he was completely out of his element.
Mm-hmm.
You know what, Nate? That's a very good question. And I'm going to hang on to that, and we'll circle back to it. But that is a great question. That is a great. You know what? I'll go ahead and throw it out there now. He said, and that's the thing right there. It's now out there on tape.
And yep. And I read something that made a very good point. I don't know if you read the same thing. Do you think, if you go back and watch it, like I went back and watched it a little bit, it looked like Missouri had figured out Stetson's snap count. The clap. I think because they were on time almost every time. Virtually every time they were hitting it right at the snap. Did you notice that?
Yeah. But I mean That's just the thing. I don't know when the colleges started doing the clap as opposed to calling the signals under center. But that's pretty much become universal. So you're gonna be able to jump the snap count 50% of the time if you try and jump the snap count every time. Yeah. Troy Polamalu was exceptional at it. We saw him; he was very exceptional at it. But I think they were still under center then. But the question that I did pose is Georgia still the team to beat after we struggled against Kent State? Like Kent State hang 22 on us in a win.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's on tape now. Nate makes a very good point that I was going to bring up a little bit later on. But thank you, Nate. We appreciate you, brother. We do. He raises a very valid point. It's out there now. Everybody that watched Kent State, everybody that watched Missouri, you think for 2 seconds the teams that we have coming up aren't going to figure that out. Now let's be real. I don't think we're going to face a real challenge in Auburn, but Auburn's still playing. Auburn's playing for respect, and Carson's coaching for his job. Vandy's still playing for respect. They have been much improved over the previous years. Florida's got Anthony Richardson throwing for 400 yards in losing efforts. Hendon Hooker's in Knoxville.
Balling out.
He's balling out.
Yeah.
Mississippi State. What can you say about Will Rogers? And then you got Kentucky. And then you got Kentucky, and Kentucky has Rodriguez back now.
Yep.
So you cannot at this point afford to do anything. Like seriously, Kirby, Coach Smart, if you happen to see this podcast, I doubt you will. We some small time guys just getting started with about 50 episodes on our belt. But Coach Smart, if you happen to see this video, I sincerely hope that if this is just a rabbit up, if this is just a nothing up the sleeve, that kind of thing, like Bullwinkle, then by all means do what you got to do. But if we really need help, then we need to figure it out. We need to figure it out.
And I think the majority of it is like we've always talked about too. Getting pressure on the quarterback makes a load of difference, and makes loads of difference because and I was mentioning earlier that the offensive line, the offensive line was getting pushed around all day, and then and if you get that type of pressure, and it looked to me like Missouri was rushing virtually almost every down, and they were bringing
a house four man front, 5-man front.
Yeah.
Every time Stetson turned around, he was ducking and dodging for his life.
Exactly, and that's going to make him either make some bad decisions or interceptions, which luckily he didn't. But I mean, he did overthrow and did underthrow quite a few receivers. They could have had good, good yard, could have gained good yards. So I mean, that typically in my mind, that's the formula. I mean, if you get good pressure on the quarterback, I mean, that's gonna potentially win you ball game.
Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, and not that Missouri racked up a whole rack of yards, man. Not that they racked up a whole rack of yards, but we had a rusher that rushed for 89 yards against us. Again, we had somebody come whisper close to rushing for 100 yards for the second week in a row, Cody Schrader, and they amassed 102 total yards on the ground. And that's something that we normally don't do. That run defense is still, biting, making bad angles, making those arm tackles. I will give the defense some credit in that they did manage to lock it down and keep Missouri from getting in the end zone, except for that first touchdown. That was pretty much the saving grace.
Yeah, so I'm talking about you see Malachi chased that dude down, chased down Schrader when he broke off with that 60-yard run.
Yeah,
I didn't think he was gonna catch him. I had no idea. I mean, that boy was fast. And then
that was the play that set up their first touchdown, though. So
exactly,
and to be honest, Schrader, that was the bulk of his yards was on that long run. But we normally don't let that kind of stuff happen. Now, to answer Nate's question, who needs to make the adjustments? Yes, Bennett needed to make the adjustments. And there needed to be some coaching decisions. There needed to be some decisions made on the offensive end as well. I think the defense has adopted a bend but don't break mentality, which is okay in some instances, but you can't always count on that. You know what I mean? Because bend but don't break wound up costing us the conference championship game last year. Fortunately, it worked out in our favor.
I don't like playing. I don't like playing not to lose. I want to play to win. You know what I mean? That whole prevent stuff, it really gets on my nerves. That's how we lose ball game.
Right. There's been some murmurings amongst the sports writers and the fans that the calls on offense were way too conservative. You get a team that jump out on you like that right out the gate. You gotta make your adjustments immediately. Will Kramer has been banned. Will Kramer has been banned from the chat. But yeah, you're right. We do have a huge game. We got some big games coming up, man. You see the murderers. We got to get it together. We gotta get it together. This is what we got. This is what we got on schedule. We got Auburn next week. Like I said, Harsin's coaching for his job. Team's playing for respect. Vandy's much improved. Florida's got Richardson throwing the ball. Hendon Hooker. We talked about this not 10 minutes ago. We cannot afford any oopses. Okay, at this point we can't afford any oopses. I mean, we've already been lowered to number 2 in the AP poll. So, and you know how this thing goes. If you wind up finishing outside of 4, you ain't getting in. Period.
Right. It goes to ask the question is, I mean, will this wake them up? Will this wake up the Dogs? I mean, like, what will it take? Like, you think that they can Kent State will woke them up a little bit, but then they come into Mizzou and have a battle on their hands. I mean, does this actually wake up a sleeping dog? Should I say? I mean, somebody needs to wake them up.
I think so. Well, you did see the quote that I sent you earlier yesterday that Kirby said that they said, was this a wake-up call? He said every team needs a wake-up call at some point during the season. Doesn't matter where you are, if you're clicking on all cylinders, every team needs a wake-up call, and this was definitely one for us. You know what? I'm going to address this right here. I'm going to address this comment right here. Somebody said that they predicted 3-3 for the remaining games. This same person also predicted that the Colts would win yesterday and win by double digits. Guarantee.
Guarantee.
Is the identity still being developed? You know what? I'm going to go ahead and address that. Well, I'll let you answer that question. Do you think the identity is still being developed amongst the squad? Because we do have a goodly amount of new faces, both on defense and offense. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's probably to a point affecting them. Yeah, because but it's still, like you said, we got some young guys in there trying to figure out each other and play alongside each other. I mean, that's got to have some kind of effect, but I mean, I don't think it's overall, effect of what's going on. I mean, I think it's attributed to what you said. I think it kind of got a little bit the national champs. I think it kind of got in their head a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it looks like to me. But I think the identity, yes, it is being, I guess, kind of developed between those young guys.
Yeah, and this here we go. Here's a good one right here, and Tennessee, but also we can't count out Florida. Now let's be honest. Florida does not have the greatest defense on the face of the planet. Florida does not have the greatest defense on the face of the planet, but our defense has got to tighten up. You got Anthony Richardson out here making a campaign to at least be a Heisman candidate. Maybe not win the Heisman, but the boy is balling, and we can't let a guy like that go out. We haven't really faced a quarterback yet that has that kind of capability.
Right.
The closest thing we thought we were going to face leading up to this point was Spencer Rattler. And Spencer Rattler is who we thought he was. He's 100%. But now you're talking Tennessee with Hendon Hooker, Kentucky with Will Levis, and Chris Rodriguez is back. And you can't play with those boys at all, period.
No. That secondary's got to. I mean, it's got to tighten up. We saw that against Missouri. I mean, the secondary kind of was getting exposed there a little bit. Even Ringo was getting he didn't look like himself.
Ringo got burned a few times, and that's
absolutely.
I hate to say that because that's our hero from the national championship game. There were a couple times when he and Chris opportunities for some interceptions that would have turned the tide of the game. But I will say that the defense definitely I'm just going to say the defense definitely held us in the game. We didn't cause any fumbles. We did not cause any fumbles, and we did not get any interceptions, but we still managed to hold them at bay. So, we did get a couple of sacks and a couple of 6 tackles for loss. So I'll take that.
Yeah, and but what I noticed is that Bauer wasn't a factor, early in the game. Oh. He didn't see one pass. I mean, I think Big O saw the first pass. He's the only tight end that saw that one. But the first pass for a gain, and then I don't know what they were doubling him or covering him or smothering him or whatever. But I mean, he was not. He was being blanketed. Or the Stetson couldn't get it to him or what? I have no idea. But yeah, he was not. He's a non-fighter. He's usually, right there at the very beginning.
Well, here's the thing that I'm trying to wrap my head around. McConkey obviously is inside his head for whatever reason because he had another couple drops.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He had another couple drops. So he did manage to catch a couple, and we're definitely missing AD Mitchell. I think AD's basically our number one receiver with Brock being the number 2. It's kind of a 1-2 punch. But You've got 2 of the best tight ends in all of college football right now on your squad. Why are you not finding a way to get the ball to them? Bowers has proven himself to be a playmaker.
Yeah.
Inside and out. You got McConkey. I mean, the only way to get back up on that bike.
Yeah.
Get back up on that bike. But a lot of the play calling, I will give this. Kendall definitely trying to make that comeback. That first run that he had. First run he had was awesome. But again, this is where we had the key mistake. Hold the damn ball. We cannot afford when we have a team come out and punch us in the mouth, and you have a 20 to 25-yard run from scrimmage, the first play of the game, to fumble the ball and turn it over on your end of the field and give them momentum.
Yep.
Also, Stetson Bennett, Butterfingers.
Yeah.
As our boy Chills Adonis like to say, shout out to Chills Adonis, banging content creator. Some of the greatest NFL commentary you ever want to see. Go check him out. And he gets Butterfingers on a snap. He's reaching to the front of him for the ball. Ball hits him in the elbow, and he's chasing after it. We got to get those things under control. These are simple things. These are things that you should know and have been taught since you were playing Little League. And I know they teach that kind of stuff in JUCO, Stetson. I'm still riding with you. You still my boy. But you got to get that stuff pulled together. The offensive line. That offensive line was – I'm not going to say what I was going to say because that mess around to get us canceled. But that offensive line was very wide open.
Yeah.
I started.
Well, like I said, though, they were bringing the house every time. So I mean, they were getting pushed around. So
the only thing that seemed to work. Only thing that seemed to work was tempo. When they went tempo and they couldn't get the substitutions in and out, boom, 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 march down the field, pow, and that's what spurred the comeback. I definitely think. Now here's a question: what do you think is going on with Kirby?
Yeah, no, I read several things like that because I did see that too. That he was not the jump around type people. I don't even know if he had anybody holding his belt because he wasn't even. It didn't seem like the old Kirby like jumping around and excited and effing this and that and that and first down and didn't see that and then his halftime interview there that it was kind of lackluster. It didn't feel right. So I don't know.
It definitely did not. There's something missing from that part of watching Kirby Smart. Part of watching Georgia games as of late also entails watching Kirby Smart. And if you don't know, if you've never seen a UGA game before, Kirby Smart is one of the most animated coaches in all of FBS. He gets in there and he's jumping up and down. He's excited. He's animated. He's cussing at his players. He's tearing off his headset. He's pointing. He's screaming. The get back coach is pulling him back on the sideline. We haven't seen any of that all season. And I don't know if there's something wrong with him or there's something going on personally, but he has definitely been a much more tamer version of the Kirby that we know. Yeah,
well, I mean, to be fair, we did see it in Oregon. I vaguely remember seeing a little bit of South Carolina, but we haven't seen the last two games. That's for sure. Definitely yesterday.
Not at all.
Definitely this weekend.
Not at all. If I expected it to come all the way out against Kent State, and I didn't see it not once. Unless the camera people have just decided not to show Kirby because they know that he's going to drop an expletive. And they might get him on a hot mic like they did last year. But
and that's part of the fun of it. I mean, like he's usually this animated guy. I mean, obviously we were outside looking in. I mean, maybe there's something wrong, maybe there's not. But it doesn't sit well with me the way he's acting and the way we're used to him. Used to seeing him. He's not that way. So.
Sorry about that, Debo. Debo was like, "You've been waiting to use me. You need to go ahead and use me." Yes, we definitely won in a squeaker. 4 points. Yeah. We barely won by 4 points against an unranked team in the SEC West and the Missouri Tigers. And those kids were excited. They were ready to rush the field. They were ready. You could tell someone had the face fit and everything. Now, when we started to mark the comeback in the fourth quarter, you could feel some air out of the coach. Definitely. So anyway, we're going to keep this thing moving on along here, ladies and gentlemen. We want to go ahead before we go another further. Those of you that are watching, thank you so much for watching. If you're watching the replay, appreciate you. Go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and share it with everybody that you know that is all into UGA football. And make sure that you hit the subscribe button, whether it is to our Facebook page, whether it is to our YouTube page, however you're watching it. But before we go another further, we want to go ahead and send a shout out to our sponsor for the evening. Why don't you guys stay tuned, and we will be right back. Yes, indeed. That's our guy, Sid Swinton with Squid Rips Cards. You can find him at that tag on TikTok, on Twitter, and on Facebook. He has him. He is on all of these socials. You can go check him out. He's live twice a week where he does polls. You guys can, hey, I want that one. Click, clap, boom, boom. He's got you covered. He can put together packets for you, that kind of thing. So get at our guy, Sid, today. Thank you very much, Squid Rips Cards, for being a sponsor of this week in UGA football. Whew. Man,
Yeah.
that was a whole mouthful. Let's look at this. So what do we need to do? We got next week, we're taking on Auburn. And I'm not trying to jump from the one to the other, but we're facing Auburn next week.
Yeah.
Now we know that right now Auburn is 3-2 after having dropped that they were throwing haymakers, started dropping that game to LSU.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that Brian Harsin is still employed, but I think they're willing to give him a chance because for the first time since he's been the coach, the team is showing signs of life. Robbie Ashford is on paper, he's looking really good.
Yeah, he's getting better.
He's looking really good. He's getting better. And sometimes you just find that gem that diamond in the rough in your backup. I mean, not that the Buccaneers or the Patriots would know anything. Not that the Patriots would know anything about letting the backup play and building a dynasty or anything like that. But sometimes you find that diamond in the rough, and Robbie Ashford is doing some pretty good things.
Yeah.
So I mean, and yes, you're right, Nathan. They are basically dealing with a whole brand new squad because a lot of guys transferred out. They had to rebuild from the transfer portal. But for them to be dealing with what they're dealing with in terms of their roster, in terms of what the athletic department tried to do to the coach, they're doing pretty doggone good. They're doing a heck of a lot better than I thought they would be doing at this point in the season.
Yeah, they're still playing like they're with their hair on fire. I mean, you can just tell the guys. I mean, like I know actually they should have won that game, this weekend, but they just didn't. It didn't turn out in their favor. But what surprises me, we're the early line for next weekend is they got us picked by 29.5. So another 30-point, expected victory. I don't know if I believe that. I mean, the way we're playing, I mean, I don't,
As a gambler, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I wouldn't take it. Now, of course, watch this be the week that everybody goes, nah, I'm not taking that spread, and then Georgia go out there and just run up and down the field on Auburn. So we shall see. But what do we need to like? Number one, I've been saying this since game one. That run defense, they're hit or they're missed. I mentioned they got a couple sacks. My hometown boy Smith got out there, got himself one of those sacks, got a couple tackles for loss, looked pretty good. But they're not consistent with it. And I know they're still trying to gel as a squad based against all the guys they lost last year. But they're definitely not. They're not.
And I don't know, I don't know how you would fix something like that. I mean, you got to go to work. I mean, I guess they've got to close up some of those holes in there. I mean, and definitely show up the tackling. The arm tackling stuff's not going to work, and these guys are, as strong as they are. You can't hang on with an arm. You got to wrap up. But I just I mean, defense has got to tighten up. I mean, all areas of the football team, I think, need to tighten up. All facets. This is like
the guy that was tagged with the heir apparent tag, Jalen Carter, one whole tackle.
Yeah.
The whole
One
whole tackle.
One whole tackle, yep.
Nolan Smith had 4. Our leading tackle was Jamin Dumas Johnson. Yeah. And
did you see him? He was hot on the sideline. So I'm glad to see that some kind of fire that these guys are getting into each other because they were. He got hot after the first score because he didn't want him to score. So the defense take offense to people to getting scored on, which you saw him. He got fired up. He was yelling. I don't know who he was yelling at, but I couldn't see who he was yelling at. But he was definitely giving them what for. But
I definitely thought that is an admirable statistic to aspire to. But how about let's start focusing on the fundamentals? You can't keep them out of the end zone if you don't tackle.
Yeah.
The bend but don't break work. But again, this is Missouri. Next week we got Auburn. The following week we got Vandy. I've called them out already. I'm not gonna call them out again. You can't keep depending on bend but don't break.
Well, on the flip side of that, look at Missouri's defense. Jalen Carlos had 11 solo tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, and 11 of them, like I said, 11 solo tackles, and then Charleston had eight solo tackles. So, I mean, those boys were coming in hot.
But dude, of course they did, because they were everywhere. They were everywhere at all times. It was like that scene from the second Matrix. Let's see, the Matrix Revisited, the Matrix Part 2. I can't ever keep them straight. The one where the 1800 Agent Smith came out of nowhere and Neo was fighting all of them. They were everywhere. Everywhere that Stetson Bennett looked, there was a Missouri jersey in his face.
So I'm gonna go out on go probably off the deep well. That's not very too far fetched of a question. Do you think there's an actual possibility as we're getting close to like a quarterback change? I mean, I know Kirby's gonna stick with who he's got, but I mean, there's always barking every year about quarterback changing with him. But in my opinion, even if Cox or Vandergrift was in there, both of them wouldn't be able to get away for some of the plays that Stetson used his feet to get away from. But at the same point,
I don't see it happening. History shows us. I don't see it happening. Jake Fromm looked like a world beater the 2017 season, all the way up to the national championship. The following year, he struggled. He had some serious regression, and coach would not pull the trigger. I don't know why he wouldn't pull the trigger, but he wouldn't pull the trigger. He said, "This is our guy for this season." But at some point, you got to say, "Hey, man, hand me the ball. Let's go." You got to learn how to do like in Major League Baseball. You got to say, "Give me the ball. Send it to reliever."
Yeah, get a little pat on the butt and send your butt to the dugout. Now, I mean, I agree. I understand that.
I can't. I mean, looking at this game, I think the offensive troubles were one part Stetson, one part offensive inefficiencies. If you get the ball in your hands, if you have a jersey in your face, as soon as you get the ball in your hands, it's hard to be very efficient.
Oh, of course.
Even the most elusive of quarterbacks, and we're talking about the Lamar Jacksons, the Mike Vicks in his prime, the Barry Sanders is a running back, Russell Wilson, those guys. Pat Mahomes, Pat Mahomes. After a while, they will get you. I mean, you can't get away from all of them unless you learn, unless you can levitate.
Yeah, and he got put on his behind several times, pretty hard. I mean, they were putting him on his back, and they were putting on his back.
Yeah, he did take a good solid hit.
A couple of them. So I mean, and props to him for getting bouncing back up. But I mean, still, that's all. He's gonna hear footsteps for the rest of the game. I'm sure that'll put you put your head on a swivel, looking for the next guy coming. But
yeah. Now, as a result of all of this, we did manage to pull a Debo squeak by with the win. As a result of this, the polls were released today, and the Dogs fall to number 2. Your thoughts, sir?
I ain't mad at it. I mean, I kind of figured. I mean, it would be. I don't like the number 1 spot anyway, because I mean, look what it does to us. And I mean, history's shown every time we got number 1. It's kind of, I don't know what happens. It maybe gets into people's heads or players' heads or whatever, but we've never fared well as being a number 1 team early in the season. Now, I mean, me personally, I'd rather be number 1 at the end, like everybody else. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't bother me at all, because I mean, these past 2 games, I mean, we deserve to fall at least one spot. Now, I mean, it could have been 3, and I still probably it was 3.
It could have been worse. I mean, honestly, the proving ground for us, if we're going to make this thing happen, the proving ground for us is Florida. Say what you want to say. They're still dangerous. Mm-hmm. Tennessee, Mississippi State, UK. Yeah. That's the proving ground. If we go out there and we whop these guys upside the head, or even if the thing for me is, I wasn't even mad. I wasn't mad that Missouri was doing well.
Yeah.
My problem is that we had nothing in response for it.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
was my problem. I could see if Missouri just came out and said, we're going to go out there and we're going to give them a hell of a first half, and hopefully we can bang them in the head enough, that wear them down enough that we can hang together and stay close enough to maybe pull something off at the end of the game.
And we were fortunate enough to be as close as we were to be able to get back to that board, to get to where we
like I said, we're not for a play here or there or a shoestring tackle here or there. We'd be talking a whole different story this morning.
Yeah.
We'd be sitting on the bench alongside a certain team from around here going, well, hey, welcome to the bench. Oh, God, they're so salty right now. But that's a different story for a different time.
Well, so let me interject here just for a second. So the conversation we had earlier in the season, my feelings kind of fluctuated. We were kind of worried about UK. We were kind of worried about Tennessee. We were very worried about South Carolina. So now we look at these last two games and look at the game this weekend against Missouri. I mean, it kind of makes me think now that they're a legitimate concern. Playing those teams are a very legitimate concern now. After the Oregon game, I didn't feel not so much. I felt like we would kind of not necessarily roll over them, but at this point, I'll be happy for a win in any game. Like I don't care if it's 2 points or 3 points or 20 points. I could care less just for as long as we win. You know what I mean?
I think the term is playing to the level of your competition, and I think that's what they're doing a lot of this year. They went out and played Oregon. Oregon's ranked. We're going to give them 100%. We're good. They went and played South Carolina. Oh, they got Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler might do a little something. They played Sanford. Now Sanford wasn't going to really be able to do much, so they just kind of pulled up. They played, but they pulled up. But Kent State and Missouri, you can't play to these. You can't mess around with these guys because they will sneak around and get you. Robbie Ashford might not be a world beater, but he's no joke. He'll mess around and drop 300, 400 on you. Same thing with Florida.
That's absolutely true. Because I mean, that's a huge game. I mean, that's on a world stage. Everybody's been watching that game. So I mean, Florida's going to come to play regardless. So we can't.
At this point, my philosophy: I'm the coach. I'm in the locker room. All right, gentlemen, we are now 0-0. It is a 1-game season, week to week. We got a new season every week. If we don't win this week, we don't go to the championship, and then we do it again next week. And every week you go, your goal is to go out and run people over, run them, run under them, run around them, whatever you got to do. Give them the what for. Give them the what you was giving everybody else last year.
Yeah,
because you can't play with these teams. There's not a team left on this. There's not a team left out of these 6 left in conference play. I usually left Georgia Tech off because it's Georgia Tech. But at this point, I can't even laugh at Georgia Tech.
No, I mean that's true. I was about to say that. I was like, you can't really. I mean, the way we're playing, I mean, it would be a legitimate concern. Like I said, whoever we play right now would be a legitimate concern for a loss. You know what I'm saying?
Like, here's my thing. I am not hating. I'm not saying that the season is over. But what I am saying is there's some changes. There's obviously something not there, and none of us know what it is.
Yeah.
Only the people that they're suiting up every day and the folks on the coaching staff know what it is. It's obviously something there, and it's got to be fixed. Because if these guys want to make a serious run at another championship title, they're going to have to step up. Period. There's no semicolon, there's no hyphen, there's no nothing. They're going to have to step up to the streets, like the boy with the big afro and the hat that can make his neck go like this. In the movie, you're gonna have to step up. You can't just show up and go, "Hey guys, I'm here. Did I miss the party?" No, you got to go out there and do it.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, and all these, I mean, people that want to blow outs can't hang that up because I don't foresee us blowing anybody out the rest of the season. I would be pleasantly surprised if that happens. If we blow somebody out, I mean, we hang 20 on somebody. I mean, that would be a very good surprise. But at the same point, I would just be happy for a win. I don't care at this point because I mean, it looks like. I mean, unless the ship gets right, unless we right the ship, it's going to be close ones here on out. I don't know if my heart can take it. Be honest with you. My heart hurt this weekend, dude. It was bad.
And
it was bad.
and you know, that the doggone social media groups are on fire right now.
Oh yeah,
The I told you so crowd is
oh, you
back.
knew they were waiting on it. 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 They were chomping at the bit. They were waiting on him to screw up.
They were waiting for him to have a bad game and say, see, this is why I've been saying all this time Stetson Bennett needs to not be the quarterback. And this is why Stetson Bennett needs to not be the quarterback. And I had a few comments. I had a few comments to throw out here and there, but somebody I know, I won't say who, but somebody I know was in this, somebody I know that might be over there was definitely
Hey, it took me that guy telling me to. It took me that guy telling me that he was. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What'd you go?
I was saying that it only took me one time to see the guy. Some guy said something like, "I played football. I played more football." It was just telling himself like he was the I know football crowd. And I said, "Hey man," I said, "we're just peasant fans. That's all." I said, "It's your world. You know everything." So yeah, it just took me. It just kind of went on from there. I mean,
the people that say I played football. Now the folks that say
he coached too. He claimed to coach football. So
hold on,
like, man,
the folks that say I played football because they have some crazy point they want to make that's like way out in the middle of left field is just as valid as me saying, well, you know what? I was a medic in the Army, and surgically speaking, I don't think that he should cut that. He should go in the intracranial space between the third and the fourth, whatever up there in his medulla oblongata. And I'm making all of it up as I go along. Those are body parts. I think no, they're real body parts. I'm joking.
Alligators are angry because
matter of fact, I got it. It's just like the commercial where the guy said, "Are you a doctor?" He said, "No, but I did stay at a Hilton hotel yesterday." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
go sit down somewhere.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I think the Dogs have got a lot to prove at this point because a lot of people we got a pass against Kent State. They were like, okay, maybe they had an off week, but now we've had 2 off weeks in a row. And we can't afford it anymore. We go out, we have another off week. We will be out of the top 4. I can go ahead and I'm going to pull a Nathan Snell and say if Georgia goes out and lays an egg, still wins, but lays an egg against Auburn this Saturday, they will fall out of the top 5. Guarantee.
Even if they win.
Even if they win. I mean, we won this past Saturday. We fell to number 2.
Yeah, but Missouri, what was Missouri ranked? I can't remember.
Missouri was not ranked.
They weren't ranked, so that's why. I mean, like Auburn's not ranked either, right? Huh, never mind.
No, they're not.
I retract my statement. Sorry.
No, I'm not. No, Nate, I'm not saying they are the team to beat. I'm saying that Georgia's ranked number 2 right now. Okay, and because every team has an off game at some point. It's just like Alabama. Alabama had won the national championship. They come back, they're the returning national champs. They get wonked by Texas A&M, right? They kind of got a pass. I mean, they
definitely got a pass.
They got a pass, okay. But Bama did not come back out and lay any more eggs either. They might have struggled a little bit, but they didn't lay any more eggs. Well, we came out and we laid an egg against Kent State the week before, and then we laid an egg against Missouri this past weekend. We managed to come out of both of those games and win. But I think if we go out and we continue to lay eggs, then our ranking will fall because there's too many teams behind us that are undefeated, that are going out and taking care of business for one of them to get in the top 4. You understand what I'm saying? I think the AP voters want Georgia to be in the top 4, but if we can't get it done,
I mean, there's too many, like you said, there's too many other teams. I mean, you got the Ohio States and you got whoever else. I mean, how many undefeated teams we got? I mean, we got several still left, right, that are undefeated.
Kansas is 5-0.
Yeah, Kansas. That's a big one.
Oklahoma State is undefeated.
Yeah. Ole Miss.
Tennessee is undefeated. Ole Miss is undefeated. We got too many. I mean, we got too many undefeated teams just in the conference alone to be playing around and going out and laying eggs against people.
Oh yeah. So I mean, we can't afford any kind of state whatsoever. So I mean, yeah, definitely get it kicked out of the top 10 real fast, quick in a hurry. So I mean, if we don't play up to our potential.
I got to be honest though. If we went out looking sloppy, I don't see us falling out of the top 10, but I definitely see us being out of contention to win. Out of contention to be in the top 4 unless we get into the conference championship and then just beat the ever-loving dog turd out of Alabama. That would be the only redemption. If we win the East, sloppy win the East and then go to conference championship and just run up and down the field on Alabama, that's the only saving grace. Having said that, we got a few people in the chat tonight. I don't know if you've been watching. We got our guy Will Kramer down there in South Carolina, diehard Commanders fan, diehard Gamecocks fan. We got our guy Nathan Snell of the Big Nate Sports Podcast, all part of the Let's Talk Football family of shows. And you can see us anywhere and everywhere at any time of the week. Where? I'm glad you asked. Watch this so you can see where. We'll be right back. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. That is the full slate and lineup of Let's Talk Football shows. You can catch them, just like the ad said, anywhere and everywhere. This is This Week in UGA Football. Mr. Fingaz here in Oklahoma. Collin P. there in the DMV. We appreciate you guys stopping by. Please like, please share, please subscribe. By the way, that reminds me, I got to put the other part of the intro back on there, the part where my man, we got to lay the hammer down. We got to put that back on there. That's Sean's favorite part of the show right there. We missed that. Yeah. Godfather, if you're watching, we appreciate you. Check in with us. Let us know you checking us out. So we were talking about our woes against Missouri and what we got upcoming. Like I said, we got Auburn coming up. And oh, by the way, tomorrow we'll be doing a real short special, Collin. I'll talk to you about this after the show. We will be having an Auburn insider join us for a short half-hour show, about roughly an hour and a half before the roundtable comes on. I am also part of the Roundtable NFL show with my colleagues Nicholas. I want to smoke and Diversity with Delilah. So we're gonna have an Auburn insider come on, and we're gonna kind of chop it up a little bit for about a half an hour, so talk about some things. So I want to talk about. Well, let me get to this question from Nathan real quick, and then we'll move on to our next subject. Does scheduling matter? It 100% does. It 100% does. I'm gonna get your take on it first, Collin, and then I'll come back around.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely matters. So I mean, in my opinion, I wish I've definitely said that I would rather us play Alabama more during the regular season. More, and instead of maybe the the Vanderbilts and that kind of stuff like that. But I know we have contractors and all that kind of stuff with the schools and that kind of stuff. It's very, very probably complicated process. But yeah, I mean, it's the complicated.
We play Vandy because they're in the same division, so we got.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I misspoke. But I'm saying like maybe switch out more Alabama with the West. You know, I mean I misspoke there on the Vanderbilt. I was thinking about Alabama and Tennessee, but anyway, yeah. That I mean, and as far as the cupcakes go, I know that in my opinion, I think we got too many of them. But I mean, I don't know how we could change that because I think those schools, depend on playing teams like the bigger schools like that for exposure and money. But I do think it plays a part. But I mean, if you look at our schedule on paper, when I looked at it, I didn't really nothing really jumped out at me as being a hard game. But what was I wrong?
I did not see us having any game that was going to be like yesterday and the week before until we got to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Now Auburn, I don't know, could be some trouble. Tennessee, could be some trouble. I said that last year, but this time last year, week 5, I was like, okay, we good till we get to Kentucky. And then when we got by, and Kentucky was the only team I had on the schedule was going to give us a run. And true to form, they were undefeated when we played week 6. So, next week will be a year since we linked up with Kentucky. And Kentucky gave us a beating on the head for a little bit as far as getting downfield until, the defense clamped down and we opened up on them. Now, here we are going into week 6, and I'm like, dang, we got Tennessee. We got Kentucky. Florida might be tricky. We got to be on point because Auburn might make us look bad. And we're playing in Auburn because they played at Samford last year.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing is those away games, man. You really after this past weekend. There's no sure thing, definitely.
Yeah, man. For me to answer your question, Nathan, I definitely think so as well. And if you look at a lot of these powerhouse schools, if you look at the SEC scheduling, it definitely. I looking at our schedule, looking at Alabama's schedule, it looked like we had a whole bunch of cupcakes on the schedule. And I get it. We want to give the smaller schools the exposure, but at the same time, are we really doing our kids an injustice by setting them up with these early tune-up games and then jumping into the conference schedules, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute, these guys hit harder than the guys we played last week.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think it would be great if we schedule a beat 'em in the mouth game to start off the season every year, whether it's in conference or out of conference. I was looking forward to the game against Oklahoma next year because I'm like, God, Oklahoma week 3, let's go.
Yeah. Look at when's the last time we played LSU? It's been a while since we even played an LSU, right? It's been like at least 3-4 years, or did we play them?
3 seasons.
Yeah, 3 seasons. I'm saying like teams like that.
We play Auburn. I believe we play Auburn every year. That's a home and home every year, and then we play. I think one other team from the West. We play our divisional schedule.
Right.
We play Georgia Tech. We play Auburn, and then we play the cupcake games and whatever other team from the West. So it's 2 games in the West.
2 West games.
2 West games. Our 2 West games. The entire East Division, Georgia Tech, and the 2 or 3 cupcakes that are built into the schedule.
Right.
Honestly, my feelings would not be hurt if we did away with cupcakes.
Yeah.
We live in the age now where, because of the amount of television exposure that we have that's out there, there's so many offshoots for crying out loud. Savannah State was on TV 2 weeks ago. And you never see Savannah State on TV. Also on TV 2 weeks ago, Howard played Morehouse. You never see the HBCUs on TV playing ever. You get the HBCUs on TV now. So you got these FCS schools out there getting big TV time, like Georgia Southern. I remember Georgia Southern getting big TV during the Tracy Ham years, and now you got teams like JMU and ODU and all those teams are getting the big TV. They're getting some TV time. It's not a necessity. It's not a necessity anymore.
Right.
Us to have to play those teams, because for me, like, let's just say I wasn't a Georgia fan, okay, but I watch football. Like, I don't have a team. I just watch football, and I love football. And I look at Georgia's schedule, and Georgia's 12-0, and then I look over here at Iowa State, and Iowa State has played Ohio State, Michigan, Oklahoma, USC, Georgia, Alabama. Let's just pretend that Texas is really good right now, and I'm not knocking them. It's just they have some difficulties. You know what I'm saying? And they have a schedule for 9 or 10 head busters, as we like to call them, and then a couple of cupcake games, like maybe 2 cupcake games and 10 head busters. you're undefeated and you're undefeated, and you beat all those teams, you're getting my vote over this team here. Or I'd be more inclined to give the one-loss team with the tougher schedule the nod over the 12-win team.
Yeah.
You know.
I agree totally. Absolutely.
So I agree. I agree that scheduling matters, but it just doesn't seem to be as big priority as it used to be. So let's talk stars of the game real quick. We're running up pretty tight here. We're doing pretty good on time. Let's talk stars of the game here. You got any stars of the game? But it could be from either side of the ball.
I mean, I would say Big O, because I mean, like Big O, like Darnell Washington, he had the big catch. We were driving. He had 64 yards, and he broke one off for 21 yards. Unfortunately, no touchdowns from our receiving crew, but he was the one that stuck out to me. Like I said, Brock Bowers, he was in limited use. He only had 2 more yards than Darnell Washington, but I think Big O would be mine.
Okay. Well, this is what I have for my player of the game. My player of the game, it's actually going to shock you. I'm going with Harrison Mevis, the kicker, the place kicker from Missouri.
There you go.
He had a rough week. He had a rough week the week before. If you remember, he had the opportunity, I think it was, to tie the game in overtime or win the game in overtime, and he missed a crucial field goal that would have been 3-1. A chip shot. They would have been 3-1 coming into this game this past weekend, but he missed it. And then of course Pete had the bad dropping the ball going to the end zone. So he bounced back big time this week. He kept extending the lead with his foot. He was 5 of 5. And that's pretty doggone good for a place kicker these days, because you always get, one that gets blocked or one that just happens to just drift over the top of the pole and happen to be a little far right or far left. So that's who my player of the game is for this game. Ladies and gentlemen, those have been your players of the week this Yeah, I had to get that in. I forgot to play that before the segment. So there we go. So that brings us to doggone it. I forgot which one it is now. Which one is it? I think it's that one. Yep, that's the one. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Now, that brings us to I'm learning the show, and I'm learning of what I got as we go along. That brings us to our final segment of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. The 2-minute warning, and that is the part of the show where we talk about anything, everything, at all times. Not at all times. This is to give you a little something to go with you when we sign off. Colin, I'm going to let you go first, sir.
Man, I don't have too much. Too much, really. I mean, man, I might have to throw it back to you. I don't have anything on top of my head right now.
I got one for you.
All right.
If you are a person that does not have any type of pollen allergy whatsoever, please appreciate it, because I'm suffering. These allergies are kicking my butt, bro. I even remember to take my pill, and it's starting to wear off. It started wearing off. About 10 minutes into the show, and I don't know if you can hear it, but I am just about blocked up. And I don't want to take my allergy pill just yet because it's early. I don't want to be sitting over here at 10 o'clock and drooling on myself. So if you don't have any pollen allergies whatsoever, or no food allergies, or no nut allergies, or nothing like that, be exceptionally grateful for it. That's all I got. Back to you, sir.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna say something you said a while ago. About sleep. Make sure you get your rest, man. Because I mean, and even if you're taking the allergy medication or whatever, I'm saying make sure you get your sleep at night. Because I mean, you don't want to be sitting on the couch and be just sitting. I mean, I've done this several times. Just sit on the couch and just be watching TV and. Make sure you get your solid 8. Some of you people might not have to function, might not have to 8 to function. I need 8 to function and 8 plus to function. But and then you get to the point that you need 8. Probably you don't need more than that because you sleep too much, and then you're tired because you slept too much, and which makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. You're still tired when you sleep too much. But anyway, get your rest.
What is this? Too much sleep? Too much sleep you speak of. What is this?
Exactly.
Compute.
I'm tired. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that makes no sense.
Maybe,
If I sleep like 10 hours, nah.
Maybe it has something to do with what you got into last night.
I didn't get it wasn't all that. It was this whole week. Maybe I'm working too much. That's probably. I'm gonna waste it on that. But yeah, that definitely didn't help last night. Let's put it that way. Did not help my cause. Did not help my cause.
I feel you 100%, my brother. I feel you 100%. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for this week's edition of This Week in UGA Football. We're not going to be doing the college traditions on the show until we figure out some kind of way to get it to play without making the doggone video hang up. So we appreciate you on behalf of myself and the brother from another Collin P from the DMV and the SEC talking UGA with me on a Monday from OKC. We appreciate you, brother. On behalf of my co-host and myself, we will see you. We got a special edition. Don't forget to tune into our special edition tomorrow. That will be on at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. And then we may not do another show this weekend because, not this weekend, but Thursday, because, we do the Thursday show. Collin and I will talk about that. We'll make an announcement about it. We'll talk about it after we go off the air. But this has been This Week in UGA Football, and we appreciate you. And we'll see you next time. Go Dawgs.
Go Dawgs.